It begins in the silence of the mountains, where a man named Zarathustra has lived in solitude for 10 years. He has listened to the wind among the rocks, read the stars above, and spoken with the depths of his soul. From this silence, he descends, not to preach salvation, but transformation. With the sun behind him, he walks down the slope, carrying a burden of insight. He has become pregnant with thought, with truth too heavy to remain unspoken. And so, he comes to the people, not to save, but to awaken. His first utterance shakes the ground. God is dead. But this is no celebration. It is mourning. The death of God means the end of absolute truths, of unquestioned commandments. It means the loss of a metaphysical sky father who once gave order to chaos. The modern world, through science, through doubt, through the slow erosion of belief, has killed the old God, but has yet to replace him. Zarathustra sees the danger. In the absence of divine structure, people drift. They grow tired, passive, content with small pleasures. They become the last man, a creature who feels nothing deeply, desires nothing greatly, and fears nothing more than discomfort. A being who says, "We have invented happiness," while yawning, in spiritual decay. But where others see loss, Zarathustra sees the chance for rebirth. Zarathustra does not call people back to old faiths. He points forward. He calls them to become something more, something higher. He introduces the figure of the Übermensch, the Overman, the one who transcends man as man transcended the ape. The Overman is the answer to the death of God. Not a divine being, but a creator of values. A master of self, one who turns chaos into form and affirms life without illusion. To reach this height, the soul must undergo 3 metamorphoses. First, the camel, the spirit that kneels, that says yes to burden, discipline, and responsibility. It absorbs the weight of the world. Then the lion, the rebel who says no to old values, to inherited truths, to every "thou shalt." The lion must slay the great dragon of duty, but rebellion alone is not creation. Finally, the child, innocent, free, a new beginning. The child plays, creates, and says yes to life. Only the child can create new values, because it has no need to destroy, only to imagine. This is the path to the Overman, not domination of others, but the overcoming of the self. Zarathustra speaks of a terrifying idea, the eternal return. What if you had to live your life, every joy, every sorrow, every shame, over and over again, forever? Would you curse the heavens, or would you embrace it as your destiny? The eternal return is the ultimate test. Can you love your life so deeply, so wholly, that you would choose to live it eternally without changing a single moment? The one who says yes to this is the Overman. He affirms life not because it is painless, but because it is his own creation. At the core of this affirmation is the will to power, the fundamental force in all living things. Not merely the desire to dominate, but the drive to become, to expand, to shape, to overcome. It is the will to be more than you are. It is the pulse of life itself. The Overman lives by this will, not by commandments, not by guilt, but by strength and creativity. Zarathustra is no friend of conventional morality. He sees in it the ghost of weakness, a morality that exalts meekness, humility, obedience. He calls this slave morality, born not from strength but from resentment. He warns of pity, which he sees not as virtue, but as a poison. It drags the strong down, it makes suffering sacred, and it undermines growth. Suffering for Zarathustra is not an evil, it is the forge of transformation. Those who would erase suffering would erase greatness. Instead, he calls for a new kind of ethics, one that values strength, honesty, joy, and creation. Not cruelty, but an unflinching love of life in all its fire. In one of the most poetic and mysterious parts of the book, Zarathustra speaks of the vision and the riddle. He tells the story of a young shepherd who, while dreaming, finds a serpent biting into his throat. The shepherd bites back, crushing the serpent, and with it he is transformed. He laughs, not with mockery, but with a cosmic joy. What is the serpent? It is the burden of time, the cycle of return, the weight of fate. By biting back, the shepherd affirms life, conquers despair, and becomes something new. This is the riddle. Can you affirm your fate, not because it is easy, but because it is yours? Zarathustra often finds himself alone. His words are too sharp, too strange. The people laugh or grow afraid. He retreats to his solitude again and again. He knows that transformation is not a collective act. It is solitary, painfully so. But from this solitude he creates, he dances, not to entertain, but because dance is the symbol of affirmation, of rhythm, of life that does not cling. Dance is the opposite of heaviness, and Nietzsche, through Zarathustra, teaches us to carry even our suffering lightly, not with denial, but with grace. To be free is to dance with your fate, not drag it behind you. Zarathustra does not ask you to be good. He asks you to be honest, with yourself, with your drives, with your limits. He teaches that truth is not a fixed point, but a creation. There is no eternal truth, only perspectives. What matters is not whether a belief is objectively true, but whether it gives life, whether it strengthens. The Overman does not seek to possess truth. He seeks to live it. He becomes the meaning he once sought from others. At the end of his journey, Zarathustra returns once more to the solitude of his cave. He is no longer a preacher, he is a creator. He knows now that not all are ready for his message, and that's how it must be. Transformation is not for the masses, it is for the few, for those who dare. His last words are not declarations, but silence, laughter, music. He no longer needs to convince. He has become the Overman, not in pride, but in peace. He has conquered the greatest enemy, not the world, but himself. Closing reflections. Thus spoke. Zarathustra is not a book of doctrines, but a book of fire. It cannot be memorized. It must be lived. It is a mirror held up to the soul, asking, what do you live for? What are you willing to become? Nietzsche's Zarathustra is both prophet and poet, destroyer and creator. His challenge is not to follow, but to become, not to worship, but to will. In a world where meaning must be made anew, his voice still echoes, I teach you the Overman. Man is something that shall be overcome. So now ask yourself, not what you believe, but what you are becoming. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.